going on? So today we're going to go through Willowbank Grove's song Redemption. And I love this song. This song came together really, really well. The outcome of it is not where I expected it to go when we were, listening to pre-production demo and just like the way it turned out, it's really powerful. It's a really powerful song. It's in the lane of what Willowbank do really well, but it's also a slight departure, and an expansion on what their already large catalog is. So really excited to go through this with everyone. And if you like this content, make sure you give it a like, subscribe, and press the bell for notifications so you can let yourself know, or YouTube can let you know when I release a new video. Check it out, giving you lots of sauce about production and mixing, how I like to do things, a bit of the behind the scenes. If you enjoy it, let me know in the comments as well. Anything that stands out to you, give me a comment. Like, I love to hear what people are thinking when they're watching this sort of stuff. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's have a quick listen of some of the parts of this song.
I need redemption. Did I take the sins that you left for me? We all need attention. Can you carry the weight of all your deeds? It's not always easy to be the freedman. For that smile you'd have to pay. I lost myself somewhere along the way. Why can't I escape my pain? I need you when I'm falling down. If we went our separate ways, I know I'm lost without you. Why can't I escape this shame? There's darkness when you're not around. I'm lost in the morning rain. For that smile you'll have to pay.
Cool. So that's the overall gist of the song. Let's get into more of the nitty gritty of this one. So starts with the drum intro, which is something we came up with after. We originally thought that it was just going to start with this intro. During the tracking, we were like, what's a really cool way for the song to start? And the drum intro has no kick drum in it. And I think we were just jamming and Jude was playing, and out of nowhere he played a part of the song without the kick. And I was like, that is fucking cool. That is a great way to start the song. We were all vibing it, me, Jude, and Dachin. Then it goes into the intro, which is, pretty simple. It's like there's not a lot going on. There's the guitar riff, bass riff, which the guitar and the bass riff are very complementary. So I'll just solo those for you. You can hear them together and see what I mean by complementary. So you get what I'm saying there. They are playing very similar parts. The rhythm is the same, but different notes. And so that's really cool. It's kind of like got that extended chord thing, like implied chords. So I love that. Verse drops down into this. The other thing about that intro is it's got this synth part here. So I'll solo that. Very cool. Again, something that we wrote during the recording process where it was like, we want something that is like going to add to it and not distract from the guitar riffs. So that really subtly enhances the track. Then we've got a verse where it drops down to this cross stick beat. Just really tasteful playing, as always, from the legend Jude. Bass. Very cool. And the vocal. Ollie comes in.
I need redemption. Did I take the sins that you left for me?
Very cool. Like, I like that this song is pretty powerful the whole way through. Like Ollie's register, it's right up there. He does go to a lower register in the bridge when him and Cam are trading off, but I like that the song starts not in that really stripped back way. It's kind of like high energy from the start, even though the beat is a bit stripped back. Second half of the verse goes into that beat here.
It's not always easy to be the free bird. For that smile you'd have to pay. I lost myself.
Yeah. And that was that drum beat where Jude comes in is like, I had that feeling like I didn't just want it to be a straight drum groove, like a dun dun cuss dun dun cuss dun dun cut. I wanted that like to amplify the upbeat, jagged nature of the guitar riff. And so yeah, I suggested doing that snare on the upbeat rather than just keeping it as the backbeat. So see what I mean here. Yeah, so that goes with the guitar, the rhythm of the guitar and bass, like really well.
It'd be the free bird. For that smile you'd have to pay. I lost.
And as I always do in production sessions, especially with drummers, I don't know what it is. I think it must be because I'm a drummer myself. I just like throw anything that I can that comes into my head, especially with Jude because he's such a great drummer. I can throw anything at him and he'll try it. And yeah, it either works or it doesn't. But in this instance, it was like, just keep throwing stuff at him. It was good fun. It's always fun just recording drums with Jude. He just like is such a yes man and like has such a fucking great feel that like you can throw anything at him and it'll usually come out really nicely. Anyway, and so yeah, then the chorus.
Why can't I escape my pain? I need you when I'm falling down. Through when our separate ways. I know I'm lost without you.
One thing that we are focusing on with this new Willowbank album is to try and keep things stripped back and have each part have a real purpose. I think it's something that you can do in recordings where you can just keep adding stuff into the mix and it doesn't always complement the song. It also can like, you know, your brain can only think of like 2 or 3 things at a time. So you don't want to be too like throwing too much at the listener. So this chorus is really, really simple. So there's just vocals with Cam doing the harmony as well, Ollie on the lead, and there's no synths in the chorus. There's just a simple guitar, which is just playing the chords. Have a listen to that soloed. And I've got that stereo tracked. If we have a look here at the tracks, I've got the DI with this Brainworks plugin on. And it's just a JCM 800 clean channel. Then I also have the mic'd guitar. If we listen to just that mic'd guitar, you'll hear what that is adding into it. And then the DI guitar is this. So together. Yeah, just a really pure, clean, Fender-y sort of a sound. Yeah, and then that's just stereo tracked. And then I've got one of my favorite channel strips. You've seen me talk about this before. It is the Vertigo VSS2. Love this plugin. It's got this tube saturator section where you can add a little bit of drive in. And so if I solo that, you might be able to hear just that little bit of crunch that tube saturator adds in. I'm compressing it a little bit and doing some, I'm actually not doing any EQ on there. It's just the compression and the tube saturation that I'm adding into that guitar track there. So then after the chorus, we have a reintro. So one of the references that I brought to the band in this song was 311. Chad Sexton's drumming. He loves using a lot of marching snare stuff, and I really heard that sort of groove that 311 has. And yeah, they're not quite new metal. They're like, funk metal rock sort of stuff, but I could hear that in this song for whatever reason. And so that reintro was my suggestion of stripping it back to the marching snare and just that riff that Dachin actually wrote in the recording session. We were like, we could go back to the intro riff, but he came up with this. I think he actually came up with this riff to go over the top of one of the sections of the song. But I was like, let's have that as the feature of the reintro because it works as its own part. I wanted it to be a feature. So have another listen to that guitar. So yeah, really cool riff. I was we used a wah pedal on the way in, and it took a lot of takes to get that part right. We were very specific about, Dachin especially was really specific about how he wanted those parts to sound. He had this kind of image of what the wah sound on this whole song, how he wanted it, and we had to get the performance perfect. Yeah, you can see there's a lot of takes there. But that's just what it takes to get a production that you're happy with at the end of the day. So same thing with the reintro. A lot of performances, but we got it. Second verse is pretty similar. This is the first duet song, like true duet, where both Cam and Ollie have singing parts by themselves since their other song, Universe. And so second verse is pretty similar to the first, except Cam's singing and the drums doesn't go back to that cross stick beat. So listen to the second verse.
I heard your confessions from the bottom of a bottle. You told me you live and learn your lessons. Writing words show me what not to be. It's not always easy to do the right thing when your heart feels such pain. I lost myself somewhere along the way.
Again, and as always, I love the performances from both Cam and Ollie. Cam gets to show off her fucking amazing chops in this verse. I want to highlight the drum sound because I think this second verse is where the tone of the drums are really audible, and I love it. I love the sound of this drum kit. It's it's fucking awesome. So let's have a listen to the drums in isolation. Again, just like Jude's feel is awesome. And yeah, again, 311 comes to mind. Chad Sexton, similar sort of a vibe. Real, like, lots of ghost notes happening. That snare, hitting the snare slightly off center to get that real crack is something that we really focused on in the production. So love the sound of that. I'll show you quickly like what's going on the drums. There is a lot going on. As always, I've got a lot of bus processing going on. So you can see here I've got SSL on the bus, into the AMEC mastering compressor, into a bit of a transient shaper. Let's have a look. So on the mid-range, let's solo this. Yeah, so some attack that I've shaved off and added, no, not really much sustain, but like I've shaved off some attack on the mid range, shaved off a little bit attack on the top end here. So if I solo those bands, we can hear exactly what that transient shaping has done.
Confession.
And the top end. Yeah, so hopefully you can hear on the drums there, I've just made them a little bit more mushy. Not as much attack because, yeah, when you tend to play this like funk sort of stuff, if you've got too much compression on, which I like to add a lot of compression to stick things together, but sometimes it can bring the attack out of the kick and snare a little bit too much. And so, yeah, just taming some of these transients, especially in the mid range, just makes it a little bit more mushy and like, like warm sort of sounding. Then I've got no, I must have been playing around with the EQ for some reason. Wonder if there's automation on that EQ. Let's have a quick look here. Yeah, there is. Okay, so yeah, automated the top and bottom out of the drums in this bridge, and it kind of gives it a more focused, kind of less bassy, less top end in this bridge. So, yeah, it's kind of like playing with the dynamics of the song a bit. So. Bringing it back in here, just like automating some of that top end back in, and then again here. So. And that's when it goes full range. So yeah, just playing with the EQ a little bit on that master bus. It gives it a little bit of a dynamic push. So that's the drums. Yeah, they just sound like a live drum kit. This is the intention for this album, is having it like real sounding, no samples, just a drum kit. You know what I'm saying? So while we're here, let's look at this bass tone. So the amp that I've got on this is a Sir PT100. It is a guitar amp, but like you can do whatever the fuck you want. And that's what I wanted for this bass tone. I wanted a guitar amp because you get a lot more like that top end, like finger picky sort of stuff when you use a guitar amp as opposed to a bass amp. I'm adding some bottom end back in, quite a lot of bottom end, because with a guitar amp, you just don't have as much bottom end in the bass. And then I've got the Canvas Audio Oak Dynamic Tone Shaper, a little bit of compression, a little bit of saturation, adding again a little bit more body and punch back into the bass. The SSL channel, I'm using quite a lot of EQ in the upper mids and the low mids and the bottom end, and then just some dynamic EQ here on the bass guitar. So let's go one by one, adding them in. That's dry. So that's a cool bass tone for that guitar amp. Adding some bottom end in here. This is an amazing plugin, Bass Mint by Unfiltered Audio. It's got all of these different modes for adding bass into a signal that doesn't exist. It's synthesizing the bass, but it does it by different ways. Saturation, resonate, meaning it finds the frequency and makes it resonant. You've got the octave, which means you're adding an octave lower than where the cutoff is set. Synthesize is another way of just like faking the bass sound, and then overfold is again different type of additive bass. I like the saturate mode for the most part. Sometimes I use overfold. Octave I use very, very, very rarely if I want an extra octave below it. But I just find these other overfold, saturate, they're the algorithms that I end up using more. Let's keep moving. Oak dynamic tone shaper. Let's listen to what that does. A lot of glue and a lot of bottom end added back in there, just controlling that bass guitar. SSL EQ here. Bringing in a lot of that snappy upper mids that we liked here, like Flea. Think Flea from the Chili Peppers. He's got a lot of that upper mid stuff going on. And then some dynamic EQ. Yeah, so this is adding some stuff at certain times with the finger attack of the bass guitar. So yeah, pretty cool, very simple, not much going on, but yeah, everything that's there is important. Then we've got another chorus, pretty much exactly the same as the first chorus.
Why can't I escape my pain? I need you.
Except for we've added some oohs here. Yeah, just following the chord progression.
Why can't I escape my pain? I need you when I'm falling down.
Yep, picking up what I'm putting down there. That's it for the chorus. That's the only difference, really. Then we've got the bridge here where it breaks down. Let's listen to this whole bridge because it does something really, really cool. It just fucking explodes. So just check this out.
Hey. Cause I left myself back there.
I need you to find me.
Did it fail your expectations?
Did I leave you drifting in the breeze?
Cause I left myself back there.
I need you to find me.
Did it fail your expectations?
Did I leave you drifting
I'll show you
in
the
the
way I was raised before we act
need you to
out. I don't have to be the one to follow suit, cause I've lived your way till now. I'll show you the way I was raised before we act out. I don't have to be the one to follow suit, cause I've lived your way till now.
drifting in the breeze?
Yeah, hell yeah. That is so sick. That's one of the coolest bridges that they've ever written. I mean, they always have really cool bridges, but this one's really, really, really cool. Yeah, so as you can see, it starts off just kick and bass. We love that. The muted bass sort of thing. Very cool. Then this wah guitar comes back in, but it's single string stuff. And we'll show you exactly what's going on here. So we've got the DI and the mic. Let's listen to just the D. Let's listen to them both together. Oh, so cool. So we've got this amp room stuff going on, Fender into a couple of different amps. Then we've got the purified VU compressor, just squashing a bit and then cutting out some of the EQ. And that was the DI channel. On the mic channel, again, we've got the VU compressor doing similar stuff. Time align, just making sure the phase of those tracks is aligned. And then a whole lot of scooping out of that guitar. So yeah, pretty simple stuff. Actually, then we've got RX Repair Assistant just getting rid of some of the noise that was coming through, and a whole lot of EQ. So that's cool. Then we're feeding to a delay that is, I think, the secret sauce on this track. It's just this Brainworks Pulsar, just adding some really cool stuff into that track. So let's again listen to that. I actually want to solo that delay because it's really cool. So there's no, well, It's dotted quarter notes, but because I've got some offset, that gives it some stereo width. Then you've got this ratio setting, which kind of makes it bounce around in the stereo field. And so it's not really time aligned. So it's kind of got that feeling of it just being like free and just like unpredictable, I guess you could call it. And I just love it. I think it's so cool. Then after that, it builds into the second half of the bridge, second third, because I'll break it into thirds. So I've got this real low key part, then into this sort of semi built up part.
'Cause I left myself back there.
Where Jude brings in the cross stick and then this clean guitar. And this is a cool chain on this. We've got a tremolo at 37%. So it's just like, and again, not really synced to the tempo. It's just kind of making it more choppy sounding. Then we've got a limiter, this vac attack, which also adds some harmonic distortion. And then we've got some EQ and then snap heap doing some flanging chorus. So a flanger and a chorus. And I'll add them in one by one so you can hear exactly what they're doing. So this is the dry sound. Beautiful. Tremolo. Vac attack. So that's just squishing it and then adding a tiny bit of harmonic distortion. EQ. Just bring some of that mid-range out and then snap heap. And that spreads it in the stereo field and just adds that flanger and chorus. Really subtle, like in the mix you can hardly hear it, like that stuff, but it just adds a lot of character. I'm also sending it to this reverb, which is the IR Live ambient setting. So just adding some kind of room ambience. Then I've got this Brainworks Aura, just a bit of soft, kind of gentle reverb. And then delay, flanged delay. So again, I'm loving the flange on this, but let's see kind of what that flanger does if I turn that on, that delay, sorry. There it is. That's that moving modulating delay. That's super cool. And then the last third of this bridge where it all goes nuts. I love this. We call this like the new metal indie part of the song, like meshing new metal and indie. Has it been done before? Probably, but you know, we made it happen as well. The bass gets dirty. If that doesn't give you the stank face, nothing will. Let's look at that chain here. So we got a big fuzz. Into the same Sir amp. Yeah, we love that. Into basement again. Now, I'm adding bottom end into it, but with this clarity knob, it actually shapes the lower mids in a really cool way. Listen to again, bypassed, and then I'll turn it on. You're getting a lot of that thick, like aggressive, like lower mids, which I really, really like. Some multiband. Just adding a whole lot of upper mids, controlling the bottom end, and then this dynamic EQ. Yeah, that growl that you get, that cuts through the mix. It's hardly dynamic. It's pretty much like, yeah, I've got it pretty cranked. The reason why I chose dynamic is depending on the notes that are being played, will kind of influence how much of that growl gets through. And yeah, I don't know. It just kind of it makes it feel more alive, I guess. And that's kind of the sound that you would get through an amp anyway. And this is a DI'd guitar, so yeah, love that. And then we've got this this shit going on the guitar. Cool. That's fucking cool. Love it. So that's gnarly as hell. What do we got going on? We've got, again, the DI and the mic. Let's just see. We've got a compressor. We've got EQ. We've got this bass dude plug-in. If I solo just this guitar, you'll hear how that sounds. That's where most of it's coming from. This is the mic'd guitar. So a lot of that is just top end, but blended together. Yeah, and that compression is just like, hear that? Yeah, I love it. It's so cool. It squishes it all into place. And then on the mic, similar sort of thing as before, SSL, V compressor, timer line just to get the phase locked in. And then on that bus, we've actually got Soothe. Just kind of controlling pretty much everything. If I turn that off, let's see what that sounds like. Yeah, I've hardly got that dialed in at all. So really not doing too much with Soothe. And then some more EQ on this final SSL channel. Yeah, that's a lot of that tone. That's getting that to sit right in the mix. Again, if we turn that off. Once that kicks in, it sits into place, man. Like without it, it just gets lost in the mix completely. The only other things in the bridge that I actually forgot to show this before, in the second third of that bridge, we've got these two synths. They're cool. They're really cool. And then this rave synth that we made this alarm sound. I don't even know. I think Jack was playing, like, I don't know. We were just trying to find sounds, and he hit like a minor second, which is the most dissonant thing that you can play. And I said, like, let's put the the glide, and just go between two notes using minor seconds on just these two notes. So I'll solo it, have a listen to it. It's gnarly as hell. It just sounds like an alarm. Like, that's as new metal and as dissonant as you can possibly get, I reckon. Hear it in context. It's actually buried in the mix, but if you listen really close, or if you listen with headphones, you can hear it.
I'll show you the way I was raised before we act out. I don't have to beat the one to follow.
So that sits dead center, whereas the guitar is panned off a little bit off left. So you can hear it if you're listening properly. And it just adds this intensity. Like if I mute that synth in this bridge,
The way I was raised before we act out. I don't have to beat the one.
it's still bouncy and awesome, but the synth just makes it extra intense and like arresting.
The way I was raised before we act out.
Yeah, it's subtle, but fuck, it's effective. And then after that bridge, we've got the last chorus.
Why can't I escape my pain? I need you when I'm falling down. If we went our separate ways, I know I'm lost without you. Why can't I escape this shame? There's darkness when you're not around. I'm lost in the morning rain. For that's why you'd have to pay. Why can't I escape my pain? I need you when I'm falling down. If we went our separate ways,
So that's the end of the song. This last chorus is just a lot more ad-libbing in the vocals, kind of just like making certain parts pop. As you can see, we had a whole lot more vocals in there, extra vocals, but we decided to mute a lot of them because so many of them were clashing. We were just like, when we were recording, we're like, do all the cool shit, and then we had to dial it back in the mix because there's just too much going on. But we added extra harmonies in these oohs. So have a listen. Yeah, very, very, very cool. And then, yeah, just a lot of backing vocals. What else we got? We've got an airy synth that happens in this last chorus. Let's check that out. Look, it's weird, but in the mix, it kind of adds a little bit extra. What else? We've got that extra guitar comes back in. Actually, the guitar tone in this last chorus is different. Let's have a listen to that. Compared to, where's the first? So this is the other chorus. And then the last chorus. So there's just a bit more crunch on it. And the same plugins, but I think I've just added a little bit more gain to it to make it crunch. Either that or in this console, the SSL, am I adding? Yes. So I'm adding some total harmonic distortion, which is just making it crunch a little bit more. So I think we did actually record with a different tone and maybe had a little bit extra crunch in the pedals going through the amp. But again, adding this harmonic distortion just to get it to crunch a bit. It's, again, very subtle, but just like makes that last chorus feel a bit different. And then we've got that riff back again, this wah riff. But an octave up. So just I think when we played it in the lower octave that it is in this reintro, it blended too much with the rest of the music. So I'm like, chuck it up an octave. We'll make it kind of sit in its own space. But again, it's in the mix, but it's not that audible. So you have to really listen for it.
You have to pay. Why can't I escape my pain? I need you when I'm falling down. If we went our separate ways.
It's more just elevating the song to another level. It's not supposed to be something that you focus on, but you can hear it. And yeah, that's really it. That's the song. The outro is the intro, but just like a 1.5 bars of it with that big wash of reverb at the end, which I love. And that's the song. So there you have it. When indie meets new metal, Willowbank Grove Redemption. Thank you so much for checking this video out. Give it a like. Give us a subscribe, giving you some insights into the way that I like to produce and mix music. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you next time.